part 2, where the entirety of part 1 began, of us in the present with Jake monologuing. Much like how we're skipping forward to where I'm wearing a different hoodie. Jake, stop staring at the baby, it's rude. Anyways, after he's done staring down people like a total creeper, he then just goes all the way back to the power plant, at least I believe it's a power plant, to see that the controllers, that's the people that have yerks in their ears, which is why I'm always wearing headphones, bro, are trying to cover up anything that was a trace of Visser 3's landing. These creepy dinosaur things that clawed at Jake that one time, we're gonna see those in a couple of more installments in the series. But enough about that whole seriousness, we're looking at horses!
Meanwhile,
this is Cassie's mom. She's a veterinarian. That is all I'm gonna really say because like every other parent in this show, they're not that interesting. Marco's dad, Jake's parents, Tobias's grandparents that I'm not gonna show a clip of. Like, every single parent you can find in this whole franchise is not really that interesting except for one, but I'm gonna cover that one later. Anywho, after they're done introducing the mom, we gotta then have Jake exposit to the party what's going on, and then we have a shocking revelation.
Cassie?
Yeah, it's me.
oh, Cassie, it's disgusting.
Gross.
Oh, man. Oh, Cassie. That is gross.
Oh god, I'm gonna be sick!
Yeah, moments like Cassie becoming a horse and then this whole thing is kind of what Junji Ito was like. I wonder what would happen if they just sort of were stuck in between the morphing of being human and animal. Anyway, after Cassie's basically talking about all this sort of stuff about her morphing and then feeling more powerful, it's then up to the rest of the gang to start doing their own morphs, like Rachel becoming a cat.
Is it happening?
And then Marco, being the only person that has a semblance of doubt in this whole entire thing, just exposits about how he lost his mom and how it's just him and his dad and he's worried about all this sort of stuff. And it's very poetic, very beautiful, very nice. However, this is also a young adult book where that means nothing because of a spoiler I'm gonna get to when this whole review is done. Where he then finally says he's gonna start morphing. He acquires the DNA of a rat. And then we have what Junji Ito is always asking for.
Damn!
Enjoy this in your nightmares. Before finally becoming a rat and then just becomes Rachel's brain going from human to animal and trying to eat Marco. Because hilarity!
I just wanted to sink my teeth into your soft, furry rat neck.
That's what all the girls say.
That's not funny! Anywho, then Tobias is up next, but shockingly, he's afraid and runs away, and now no one in the gang trusts him! Oh my god! Yeah, I'm sure no one's gonna really change their mind at the end of this episode. So now, DNA in hand, they're ready to storm the location and get Alfangor's disc that was dropped during the events of the first episode. Most because they are running low on the options of what to do. But then, of course, they have to do a whole mushy thing about talking to certain family members. Rachel with her little sister, Marco with his dad, where he's watching a movie that's kind of in bad taste with this whole entire show right now.
They're gonna be showing the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Hilarious. And so they're now scoping out the place where they're trying to cover up all the tracks of Visser 3's landing, the Hork Viziers, and just trying to, make sure no one ever suspects anything strange happened. So, of course, the kids gotta do what they gotta do. Recon with the cat!
Let's speed it up.
I found it. Chapman's practically standing on it. We've got to move fast.
So, now that they've found where the disc is, they implement their plan to get the entire disc without any falter in the plan whatsoever.
What?
What's the plan, you're probably wondering? And why is it so foolproof? Let me walk it to you guys like this. Marco just screams out that Andalites have been landing, and Cassie morphs into a horse while going into a blue-ray light that makes her hooves and legs go full-blown blue like an Andalite's body. Then they chase after the body thinking that that's an Andalite instead of just like, let's see, there's a blue light somewhere and probably a horse. Someone probably had run away from a preserve, and now we're kind of fucking out of options than to just call the authorities to find out what's going on, or if it's just something a little bit more grounded. But no, instead of just being smart, they just chase after it like Daffy Duck chasing gold. However, at the same time, we have Rachel and her cousin Jake trying to dig up and get Alfengor's disc, where the main controller for the first 3 episodes, don't worry, I only say first 3 because he dies at the end of the 3rd one, just comes back and chases after them, where Jake stupidly runs into the same tube from the first episode. I'm not kidding. Look at both scenes in comparison. It's the same fucking tube. All hope is lost. But wasn't there like a 5th person that touched the magical cube?
Let's go, Rachel! Run!
Oh, thank you, Convenience Hawk. You are a wonderful addition to the show. Anyway, after being freed by the Hawk, Rachel and Jake book it. Cassie morphs back to a human to then trick the controllers into thinking,
That's gotta be here somewhere.
and then they reconvene in the forest where the Convenience Hawk turns out to be... That'll do, dun 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 dog. That'll do. Yeah, if you guys didn't know this already from just when the 2nd episode began, yeah, it's Tobias as the Hawk. Shockingly, it's not going to be the last time we see him as a Hawk. This entire franchise is going to be weird. So, they got the disc, they're all buddies again, and Jake closes us out with his final thoughts of the 2-parter.
5 normal kids against an army of ruthless alien slugs. Those Yerks don't know what they're in for.
Truly the greatest leader of legends. So, that was Animorphs. My name is Jake's part 1 and 2. This was a very weird book series and weird TV series. Granted, this isn't the worst thing that's ever been put on TV or in young adult fiction whatsoever. Trust me, we have The Selection and we have Twilight. However, it's not one of the greatest literatures that's ever been made because it still has its weird quirks about it. The reason not a lot of people want to touch on it is because of how a lot of the things within it are strange and a little bit too strange for a lot of people in the American demographic. And even still, it does still contain really good plot threads that hit you really close to home. Like Marco's mom ends up resurfacing as a controller that's been gone for many, many years because she has a Yerk in her brain. She gets freed eventually, but that's beside the point. Jake's brother becomes a controller due to one of the parties that happens in the school that's been indoctrinating all of the students to become controllers. Every single person has ties that gets tested, that gets their entire morality shaken, and more people join the struggle. Even Tobias, when he gives up his human form to be a hawk, still fights the good fight all the way through the entirety of not only the TV series, but the book series as well, where we also get Axe, who is an Andalite prince that is also Tobias' cousin, because Alfengor is Tobias' uncle.
It's official. This shit makes no sense at all.
Again, a lot of weird, strange things that make it seem like a strange comic book plot. And a lot of the things that start petering out in small waves does make it a unique series for not only middle school readers, but a lot of people starting high school back in the days for the late 90s to early 2000s that were being enthralled by these books, being just completely enamored by all of these beautiful works of every single installment, from the main series to all the spin-offs the Analyte files, everything. But I can't say that what was done as an execution was good. For the low-budget stuff they did for the Canadian bases during the late 90s to the early 2000s, the syndication for Animorphs really deterred a lot of viewership. They didn't really have the same technology that we had today, and it didn't really hit that strongly with the kids to be more than just 2 seasons, to where viewership started declining more and more and only got the numbers because of syndication in the early 2000s, before just petering out of existence. So ultimately, can I say that Animorphs is a terrible franchise or a terrible TV series to begin with? No, I can't. It's odd, it's strange, but it's a strange that knows it's strange. It knows to take itself seriously enough to make the plot make sense, but it also has that strangeness of being so serious it doesn't know it's absurd. There are a lot of plot threads that start peeking up that make no sense in the books, and the TV series alone has a lot of different things that get a little bit too cheesy for its own good to be a standalone testament to what is young adult adaptation rights. If you guys wanted a more enthralling look into whole things, check out Crimson Rogue. He's a terrible sword mage, but a wonderful book adaptation tuber. I would recommend him for anyone that wants to get a more enthralling look if you request it with him. Just don't trust him with his magical items. He's terrible at it. I should know, I'm a Shinigami. But that's all he said, she said about small details and recommendations. Let's just get into the whole rating system for all things Animorphs. For entertainment, for characters, for how the story structure was made, for editing, for the entirety as a whole, I will be awarding My Name is Jake's Part 1 and Part 2 for Animorphs as an installment and as a first look for the whole show. I'm gonna be completely honest and say a 6.7 out of 13. It falls a lot of marks to be as good as it should have been for an interesting series as it was, and I feel like that's what deterred it a lot from being greater than what it should have been. I'm also going to award it a C-, where if another, I don't know, streaming service were to pick it up at some point and then make it even greater through animation means, or even just a better live action stuff like they've done with Hemlock Grove in certain areas, or The Order for Netflix, or what they've tried to do for the MCU from Disney. I'm just saying, we have the options. And I'm gonna award it 3.5 out of 7 stars. I'm not trying to hate on it as much as I am perceiving you guys. I want this to be better because it's not the worst thing ever. It is interesting. It is promising. It's just so fucking strange for its own damn good that it didn't do the right strange or the wrong strange. It's in that weird middle of petering out into weirdness. So I got nothing else to do but try and give it a small little titanium trophy. Just to say, you guys tried, but you're not really there yet. You could try a lot better in another installment sort of purpose. I don't know. You try something a little bit better, we will recap later. You know how it be. And with that, my fellow Marauders, that is another episode of Marauders Reviews. But after this entire stuff, I'm getting a little bit bored with this whole American media stuff. We should switch it up with something Japanese. But the question is, which thing that's Japanese?
You don't fuck with the pyramid and...
How dangerous is dangerous, dude?
This looks tricky. I'll give you a boost.
Why do I have to go first?
Because you're small, I can get you up there.
Well, you're the leader. Why don't you go first?
Okay, you boost me.
Man, that's barbed wire, baboso.
You guys almost finished.
I am so fucked, aren't I?
Yeah!
except in IV. Tryna fuck with VI, end up in the ER, dropping like a BR, clapping shit then rewind.